If your courtroom drama was made in the 70s and in the early 80s, and if, of your hundreds and hundreds of episodes, approximately 99.9% of them portray white people as barristers, then it's only fair that when you actually do have a non-white barrister, you choose a particularly juicy actor for the role.
Do you wish to cross-examine this witness, Mr. Bendrahiri?
Oh, if Your Honour pleases, yes, sir.
Well, it's if you please, Mr. Bendrahiri.
That show of humility there from Mr. Bendrahiri was as foreign as the character himself, and it was also a total pretense. All throughout the trial, Mr. Bendrahiri rubs the judge up the wrong way.
Now, Mr. Cunningham, have you always fully felt that as far as your wife was concerned, you could completely trust the people
Your Honour.
Yes, Miss Travers. Mr. Bendrahiri, if you are going to put the question which it sounded that you were going to put, I am not going to let you put it.
To respect, Your Honour, may I put my question, please?
Mr. Bendrahiri, if you intend to persist in the way you appear to be going, and in face of what I have just said, I must warn you that it will be a very serious matter.
Yes, Your Honour. I will nevertheless, with Your Honour's permission, put my question, please. Thank you. Well, I will put it straight to you. It was twice lent to the accused by your wife, and when you found out about it, you were extremely angry.
No, it would perhaps be true to say that I was not very pleased. I was certainly not extremely angry.
And on the Sunday in question, when it was, as you said, chilly after lunch, and your overcoat was hanging in a prominent position near the door, the accused took...
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm right in saying, am I not, that the accused has pleaded guilty to stealing this coat?
Yes, Your Honour.
Is he changing his plea?
No, Your Honour.
Well, then I fail to grasp the point of your questioning. This is just time-wasting, isn't it, surely?
Mr. Bendrahiri's ethnic origin actually triggers a bit of drama.
A man coming out of a small corner grocer's shop on a Sunday afternoon in a quiet road. Why, what is so suspicious about that, please?
Well, for one thing, he shouted over his shoulder at the shopkeeper as he came out.
And that was sufficient for you to go after him, to stop him, and later to search him?
I considered it to be so, yes.
What was it then he shouted out that made you do that?
Enoch is right. All you bloody wogs should go back to where you came from.
This, as you might know, is an arguably realistic insight into the racial tensions that prevailed in the 70s. Having led an overseas campaign in the 60s to bring Commonwealth citizens over to the UK to address the chronic labour shortage caused by World War II, Conservative MP Enoch Powell subsequently led a campaign to send them all back home again. His racist rhetoric was adopted by numerous racist movements, triggering some of the most violent race riots that the country has ever seen. While also giving birth to what has since become the biggest street festival in Europe, the Notting Hill Carnival. And as for the defendant's explanation of his racially offensive remark...
The policeman says he just happens to be walking along the street and his attention is drawn to you because you come out from the shop shouting. Is that so?
Nah. I mean, yeah, I come out the shop shouting and that, but he'd already seen me going in the first place, hadn't he? I mean, he couldn't have said what I've been shouting, could he, if he hadn't been standing there already waiting to hear it, like, see what I mean?
Something like, Enoch is right, all you wogs should go back where you come from, you mean?
Yeah, 9p for 2 packets of fag papers, I mean to ask you. And like I said, I had a bit of drink like 2 or so, I was a bit, anyhow. But I'm not racially prejudiced, though.
Now, I'll actually pause my indulgence with these dramatic moments, as I see them, of this episode of Crown Court, a drama series that aired on UK TV from 1972 to 1984, and bring in this clip from an episode where we hear testimony from the black girlfriend of a white business owner who stands accused of inciting racial hatred.
Miss Middlewood, isn't it true that the only people who are allowed to see you and he together are a few close male friends of his that come to the house?
Well, maybe.
And that when they come, he makes you do things?
What things?
For instance, crawling about on all fours with no clothes on.
This is too much.
My lord, this really goes beyond all bounds. I must object.
My lord, I don't enjoy this, but if you'll allow the witness to answer this one question, I will take it no further.
Very well. Please answer the question.
Do I have to?
Yes.
Thank you, my lord. I must ask you again. Have you ever crawled about on all fours with no clothes on in the presence of Mr. Muir's friends?
Miss Middlewood, you must answer the question, but you need only say yes or no, and that'll be an end of the matter.
No.
To me, that no, with its markedly weak sound and with the palpable shock and embarrassment to the character's demeanour, the character, having obviously been totally unprepared for such an embarrassing question, means yes. We won't do her for perjury though, the poor love. She has clearly suffered enough. Murder, GBH, aggravated burglary, aggravated arson, these are the sorts of criminal trials that one expects to see in the Crown Court, not a case of theft. Talk about a low-stakes criminal prosecution.
Mr. Mitchell, you have pleaded guilty to the theft of the overcoat and the garnet ring.
I have.
Why is that?
Of course I am.
And not guilty to the theft of the diamond and amethyst ring, the silver filigree bracelet, the gold cigarette lighter, and the gold and enamel necklet.
I have.
Why is that?
Of course I ain't.
Of course, your defence counsel only goes and ponces up the case for his client.
Are you going to be so kind as to give me an answer to my question, please, Mrs. Cunningham?
Yes, I'll answer your question.
Thank you.
It's preposterous.
The suggestion that you and the accused are or ever have been lovers, it is preposterous.
Yes,
You absolutely deny it?
I do, absolutely and emphatically.
Remembering, of course, that you are on oath, you have never had sexual intercourse with him?
Never.
Mrs. Cunningham, please. You are on oath, and you are absolutely
Your Honour,
truthfully
really, I
denying-
must protest at this. Mrs. Cunningham has given her answer repeatedly.
Yes, it does seem to me that she has answered the question, Mr. Vandraheri, and that it's wrong of you to persist in this fashion.
Well, if I have distressed Mrs. Cunningham, I'm sorry. But I am sure it equally distresses the accused also to hear their close and intimate relationship so untruthfully denied.
Your Honour, really, this is quite outrageous. If my learned friend wishes to give evidence, then let him go into the box.
You know, you really must not say such things, Mr. Vandraheri.
That scene always makes me laugh. Anyway, back to our man Mr. V, ballsing up his own defence.
Officer, I'm making it plain to you, I hope, that what I am suggesting to you is that the anonymous call from the coin box to the police station was to make it sure that a policeman would be in the station road at the same time as the accused was in it.
I wouldn't say that.
You mean you couldn't say that, officer? Well, not possibly. How could you? You have made your point, Mr. Vandraheri, but of course, obviously, the officer cannot be asked to express an opinion one way or the other about it, as I'm sure you know.
No, of course, Your Honour. Nor did I ask him to.
Sorry, but why raise that point if not to try to prompt the witness to settle it? Anyway, on we go.
With respect, Your Honour, I'm having great difficulty.
Yes, I know you are, Mr. Vandraheri, but I really can't help saying that I think a lot of it is of your own causing.
The people you were associating with, whom your parents disapproved of, how many of them had actually been in prison?
Who actually went to prison? 2.
How long were they sentenced to prison for?
One was in for 4 weeks and one was in for 2.
And what was it for?
Non-payment of fines.
For what offences?
Obstructing the police.
In what circumstances, Miss Cunningham?
They were taking part in a non-violent demonstration against the war in
You do not
Vietnam.
need to be more specific. They were protesters in a matter of conscience.
Mr. Vandraheri, it does not really matter what it was for. They were obstructing the police in the execution of their duty. Are you suggesting that in some way that is not a serious offence?
No, Your Honour, only that it is not of the type one usually thinks of when one suggests the possession of a criminal record.
Well, that depends upon who does the thinking, doesn't it? I mean, to some people, the type of offence is not greatly relevant.
Your Honour. Miss Cunningham, the possibility of you yourself going to prison and being prosecuted, what was that for?
For throwing anti-apartheid leaflets at a demonstration
Yes,
at
just one moment, Miss Cunningham. What is the point, Mr. Vandraheri?
I am simply trying to establish and keep a perspective, Your Honour.
I must confess that to me, if someone breaks the law, they break the law and are guilty of an offence in so doing. Whether it is a law of which some people disapprove, of which some people think is not important, or even downright wrong, is neither here nor there, surely. It is the law.
Don't get me wrong though, our man Mr V does score a few points along the way.
So, and then when you went to Station Road, did you see those men who were behaving suspiciously?
No, I did not. They'd gone by the time I got there.
Tell me, please, how do you know that?
Well, obviously, because they weren't there.
If they were not there, then how do you know they had been there in the first place?
Well,
The first time I watched this scene, I was seriously expecting a chorus of laughter from the jury at this point. You do sometimes get that in this show. Anyway, not to interrupt our man Mr V.
After the accused had left your home on the Sunday in question, did you make a telephone call?
a telephone call to whom?
Mr. Cunningham, do not ask me questions, just answer the ones that I ask you.
Now, I don't get why, in this upcoming clip, the prosecutor grins from ear to ear. This particular piece of arguing from our man Mr V harmed the prosecution's case.
You see, what it is I'm suggesting to you, officer, is that Station Road is not by any means well known as a troublesome place. So, was there a particular reason for you to be in Station Road at 3 o'clock on this particular Sunday afternoon?
I was in Station Road at 3 p.m. on that particular Sunday afternoon because it was my responsibility as beat patrolling officer to be on my beat and patrolling some or other part of it at all times during my shift of duty.
Is it your answer, please, that there was no particular reason for you to be in that particular place at that particular time on that particular day?
Yes, that is correct.
Thank you.
The judge, whose prejudice against the defence's case is patently obvious.
And now Miss Diane Cunningham's evidence. Members of the jury, perhaps those of you who have children yourselves may feel as sad as I do to see an intelligent, well-educated young woman go to such lengths to show her personal vindictiveness against her family, and so publicly too.
Must be late 70s. You would never get a Crown Court judge of that age now. The retirement age today for such judges being 70. You can get a judge over 70 if you particularly desire one, and hey, whatever floats your boat, at the UK Supreme Court. Ask Lady Hale if you need any more proof of that, and find out if she's planning to sell that spider brooch that she wore when she told ex-PM Boris Johnson to stick his prerogative powers along with the parliamentary prorogations that he thought that he could buy with those powers where the sun doesn't shine.
This court has already concluded that the Prime Minister's advice to Her Majesty was unlawful, void and of no effect. This means that the order in council to which it led was also unlawful, void and of no effect and should be quashed.
Not that this decision didn't trigger sheer outrage from the Conservative Party.
This Parliament is a dead Parliament. It should no longer sit. It has no moral right to sit on these green benches.
Which, legend says, was actually inspired by a famous Monty Python comedy sketch.
This parrot is no more. It has ceased to be. This is an ex-parrot.
In case you're wondering, the indignation of our Conservative Attorney General was promptly dismantled not by a showing in the lower house of this Monty Python sketch, but rather by some level-headed, if equally passionate words from a Labour voice.
The fact that this government cynically manipulated the prorogation to shut down this House so that it couldn't work as a democratic assembly. And for a man like him, a party like this, and a leader like this Prime Minister, to talk about morals and morality is a disgrace!
If you've enjoyed this video, I recommend you to watch this one next. I'll meet you there.